So Miles has already introduced QuantIC, and he has focused in his presentation mostly on our current research and on our phase 2 ambition for the future. I'll mostly be taking a little bit of a retrospective and look at what the main successes of our programs have been during our first phase. So this slide really is probably more appropriate as a metrics slide. It shows the input to our program and some of the indicators of the level of activity and engagement that the hub has generated. So in phase 1 of the program, we have engaged with around 100 companies, both through direct contact from our business development managers and through the organization of 45 workshops for the benefit of our industrial community. In addition to our core award from EPSRC of nearly £30 million, QuantIC researchers have successfully leveraged an additional 40 million grant income for the development of our technology, and in doing so leveraged 2.5 million of industry support towards industry-led technology development projects. To this end, we worked with 36 different industry partners on 39 projects. If we look at the outputs, at the end of phase 1, QuantIC had filed 14 patents, had 13 products under development, and had negotiated 1 license and helped the generation of 4 startups. And these really, I would think, these are our measures of success, where our technology has reached commercialization. Another really important output from the program is of course skilled people, and we've invested £600,000 in the development of studentships, and those were co-funded by our industry partners, and that allowed us to fund as many as 14 studentships. Without the support of industry partners, we never would have been able to actually multiply our studentships by almost twice. So this is an example of the 13 products that we were talking about in the previous slides. They were all developed in collaboration with industry, each and every one of them in collaboration with 1 or more industry partners. And there's a list there that just gives you an idea of the breadth of the different sectors that our products have targeted. I won't, of course, in the next few slides go through all of them. Just going to pick a few examples that I think well illustrate the range of engagements that we have had through our first phase. So these are the 3 examples that I'm going to talk about, and one is the license of Timepix technology to Chromic. One is the commercialization of our photon pair source with Thor Labs, and the third is the application of CMOS SPAD technology in fluorescence lifetime imaging in collaboration with Oriba. So Timepix is readout integrated circuit, which is suitable to use in combination with a range of different detectors. It is part of the broader Medipix family of detectors, which have been developed for use in the Large Hadron Collider over almost 2 decades, and they've been led by an international collaboration with CERN. So Timepegs then found application in a range of different industry sector, and the University of Glasgow has been a partner since the very beginning in International Medipix Consortium, and have been really fundamental to the development of these chips and to their commercialization. So Timepix 3 is the latest one in the Timepix family, and is able to detect both the intensity and the time of arrival of gamma rays, and this then gives you the ability to reconstruct basically 3D images of gamma rays. This was the characteristic that was of interest to Chromic, who wanted to work in collaboration with the University of Glasgow to investigate if Timepegs could be integrated with cadmium zinc telluride detectors, and then try and develop new imaging algorithms as well, to try and obtain suitable performance to do a range of gamma ray imaging applications. So QuantIC funded a feasibility study, a 6-month feasibility study, and the project was extremely successful. The result was a license from Chromex to aspects of the Timepegs technology, the software and the readout electronics that were developed by Professor Valochet at the University of Glasgow. And Chromic is actively applying this technology to 3D reconstruction of gamma rays environment. So this is a really good example of where QuantIC was able to actually facilitate the commercialization of technology that wasn't necessarily developed through the program. The next example is the correlated photon pair source that was developed at the University of Bristol and has been commercialized in collaboration with Thor Labs. So the product is a spontaneous parametric down conversion source that creates a pair of energy time entangled photons, and the result is nearly a bright, high efficiency heralded single photon source, and that's ideal for application in quantum optics. So the product, as I was saying, was developed through the QuantIC program and was initially commercialized through Bristol-based spin-out Rykel. To then bring the source to the market, Thor Lab had to enter into a commercial agreement with Rykel, and they are now both manufacturing and distributing the source. So this is again a really interesting example of how our technology has now found application into a product. The third example is based on Quanticam. This has been a flagship product with a variety of applications in QuantIC. Quanticam is a visible CMOS pad technology which is developed by Professor Robert Henderson at the University of Edinburgh with access to the excellent fabrication capabilities of ST Microelectronics. The Quanticam is a single photon sensitive detector and has a resolution of 50 picosecond when detecting timing of the arrival of the photon. So this level of sensitivity and performance is then utilized in a very wide range of applications when basically the ability of the detector to detect both the intensity and the arrival time of the photons can be combined with the use of a pull source of illumination, and then you can do detecting of moving objects around corner, LiDAR, 3D remote imaging, non-invasive medical imaging if you think of replacing, for example, X-rays with optical imaging. However, the application that in particular I want to highlight today is in collaboration with Horiba, and it is to do with Flumera and the development of a wide field film camera. So Flumera is a wide field fluorescence lifetime imaging camera, abbreviated FLIM, and basically this is a technique which is extensively used in biomedical imaging and is really useful to try and probe molecular interactions both in cells, tissues, but even can also be used in whole animal models. So the unique selling points of Flumera is its high degree of multiplexing and the ability of then accumulating large amounts of data, recording large amounts of data, all at the same time, offering 30 frames per second video rate imaging. That's pretty unique. And that is possible because Flumera exploits the capability of the Quanticam chip. So it exploits the fact of the 192 by 128 pixel that the chip has that allows it to operate in time correlated single photon counting. So you can detect, again, both the intensity of the photon and the time of arrival. And that means the Flumera then has 25,344 channels of detection, and that large amount of data is then processed by bespoke firmware and software developed by Oriba and turned into a video rate imaging. So this unique speed really then enables different applications for Flumera to put them as a leading product in the market. And these are, for example, you can image live cells or fluid biopsy from cancer screening. So again, a very different field of application, but again, a very interesting product emerging from the research carried out at QuantIC. So this is my last slide, and is an example of 3 ISCF projects that QuantIC has been involved in, and they are Aquasec, Spider and Splice. Both the two projects are led by Toshiba Research Europe, one concerned with quantum communication, QKD prototypes based on photonic integrated circuit, and the other with developing new range finding and 3D imaging systems. The contribution of QuantIC to both of these projects is through our germanium on silicon technology, which has been a flagship strand of detector development across the first and the second phase of our program. So we all know that CMOS bands are commercially available, but the band gap of silicon really precludes operation beyond 1 micron of wavelength. Adding germanium absorber onto the silicon then allows to operate at longer wavelength, and these are the ones that are interesting for telecommunication application and for eye-safe LiDAR. The last project is Splice, and that is concerned with developing and industrializing gas, in particular methane gas imaging technology. And again, this has emerged from research carried out at the University of Bristol by Professor John Rarity and Professor Jonathan Matthews, and was commercialized by QLM, which is a spin-out company from Bristol. So it's actually really nice to see spin-out company QLM leading an ISCF project. And with this, I close my talk. And of course, if you're interested in collaborating with QuantIC in any of the future ISCF calls and on any of our technology, then of course get in touch with us, and Kevin McIver, which is our business development manager, will be able to help you. Thank you very much for your attention.